Hi, I'm India's sweetheart, Salwa Mubarak. Before I became your dream girl, I used to interview celebrities for a living. Another person who interviews celebrities for a living and does a much better job at that is Janice Sequeira. So I called her up for this episode and we swapped stories about our celebrity encounters and our experiences. So let's get into it. Hi! Hi Janice, how are
Hi,
you?
Salva. Hi. Salva, before you start and ask me questions, I have a question for you.
Right.
What were your parents thinking when they decided to name you Salva Mubarak? And does it mean Happy New Year?
No, but like yeah, so they actually Mubarak does means congratulations, so that's true. But the first name like Salwa means food, so that's also not doing me any favors. So so they had a lot of fun while naming me. So yeah, it's literally Arabic for like food. Not exactly, but yeah, it
Oh,
means food
so
basically.
it's congratulations, food hua hai.
Or like just yay, food, congrats.
No, it's like, like when a baby is born, you say like,
Yeah,
congratulations, it's a boy.
yeah,
Congratulations, it's a girl. In
yeah.
your household, it was like, congratulations, it's food.
Yes,
For
eat.
whom?
And like all my other sisters, they name like they mean so like happiness or like something of significance or like whatnot.
Like what? Like what?
So one of my sisters, she's named Rubba, which means happiness, and the other one is like Fatima, which is like the prophet's daughter. So like all names of like proper significance, and mine is just like food. So like I mean, we know who the favorite child is then. No, like
Oh, clearly it's Drupa because Drupa's name has been like thought has been put in there. Okay. See, Fatima is relatively common.
yeah,
Salva is a little strange.
right,
Drupa is the one they got right. It's like it
right.
sounds
Like
interesting,
happiness.
intriguing.
Yeah. It's a good message to give your children. One child gives you happiness, and one child kind of gives you like food or like sustenance, maybe like that vibe. So yeah. What about you?
I don't.
Do you have any instances of like people because you also don't have like a regular name, right? So do people mistake your
The thing is that I have like two extreme reactions to my name, right? So one is of course my name has been bastardized by friends
right?
because of course like Chandler's girlfriend for multiple
Yeah,
seasons was Janice. So the most common reaction I get from people who watch Friends is like, "Oh my god!" Like, can you say "Oh my god" the way Janice does on the show?
right.
And then of course there is a whole bunch of people who just like I have gotten Janice, Jency, Jonas, and Salva. Of course, the crown, the cherry
Yeah.
of this lot. Of course, when I was called jaundice on national television by an Aaj Tak anchor. So I used to work for Aaj Tak, right? Fun fact, guys, even though मेरा नाम जानिस सिक्वेरा है, मुझे हिंदी बड़े अच्छी तरीके से आती है और मैं आज तक के लिए रिपोर्टिंग किया करती थी, राइट?
Right.
तो ब्रेकिंग न्यूज चल रहा है दिल्ली में बेचारी नए एंकर को उन लोगों ने बिठा दिया एंड शी इज नेवर इंटरेक्टेड विद मी ऑन लाइव बिफोर बिकॉज
Right.
दीज मिस्टेक्स जनरली डोंट हैपन जनरली यू नो ऑल द रिपोर्टर्स यू नो ऑल द एंकर्स you all know each other
Right.
so I think whoever was sitting on the desk must have in the teleprompter put in my name and now when you write Janice in Hindi there
Yeah.
is no Jan properly right
Yeah.
it's either
Right.
like a lot of people do with Janice or
Right.
whatever
Right.
so she, I think, in a hurry, just read out my name और हमारे साथ जुड़ रही है हमारी संवाददाता जॉन्डिस.
I mean, imagine the poor woman's thought process. Imagine her like for 2 seconds she must have been like, oh, this poor woman is actually called jaundice. Like she must have felt so bad for you.
I felt worse for myself. I didn't correct her. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think, see, so we wear these earpieces, right? When you're reporting from on ground, you wear an EP to connect you to studios.
Mhm.
And the thing is that a lot of reporters, and this is a secret that I
Yeah.
don't know if people want to tell, but I'm going to tell it anyway, right?
No.
When we feel like anchors would ask fuck all questions
Yeah.
or questions that I like to call completely out of syllabus,
Right.
मतलब हम खड़े हैं कोई चीज को रिपोर्ट करने के लिए आपने कोई ऐसा अतरंगी सवाल पूछ लिया किसी के पास जवाब नहीं है
Right.
सो यू प्रिटेंड आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है
So that's
have
what
you
it
seen
is.
have you seen
Yeah.
reporters do this so very often it's because like the anchor's asking you something so chutiamatic you're like why the fuck have you asked me that question it makes no sense in this case she had called me jaundice and I just didn't know how to react like do you want to be that bitch who can who sort of corrects someone on national television
Right.
or do you want to just like let it slide and I'm so grateful that social media did not exist,
Right,
because
right, right.
this is like viral worthy, okay? Like you've called someone jaundice.
This is gold actually. Like, if I like, it's just ridiculous. Like, what? Why would you think somebody is called jaundice? But like, I do understand sometimes when you're like, on the spot.
Yeah, I never held it against
Has it
Vishali. I
happened to
think she
you?
called and apologized.
Has it ever happened to you? Like, while you were interviewing somebody and you kind of completely either mispronounced their name or completely mistook them from, because like, oh, it has.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
share.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell you. Okay, this is really embarrassing. Fuck. It sticks out in my head because it was such a big blooper.
Right,
Okay, so Priyanka Chopra had just finished shooting for Anjana Anjani.
right.
I can't remember if it's Anjana Anjani. I was interviewing Priyanka Chopra, okay?
Yeah.
And PC and I think, went through this phase when she was doing 5 films a year.
Yeah.
And I was interviewing her way too regularly, right? So
Right.
I feel like I had this little vibe with her. Like it, I mean, I'm not like trying to like be immodest here, but I feel like when she would see me,
Yeah.
like she would see me in the room full of reporters, she'd be like, "Ha, chal, wo aa gayi na, abhi thoda time pass hoga. Like we'll have some
Yeah.
fun."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I feel like it had gotten to a point where I had interviewed Priyanka in one particular year so many times that
Yeah.
I would literally go and ask her any rubbish, and she would answer any rubbish, and we would just have fun.
Yeah.
So I'm interviewing her, and there was some random shit controversy that had come out that Priyanka Chopra had walked in on Ranbir Kapoor and Katrina Kaif in some lift and something. There was an awkward moment. I don't even remember this, okay?
Right.
And the thing is, I was asking her, and this was, I think, at the start of the Katrina and Ranbir affair,
Right.
pre Alia Bhatt phase.
Right. Much before, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like very hush hush and low key. And instead of calling Priyanka, my next question, when I followed up with something else, I was like, "So Katrina." That's not the end of it.
Okay.
I then went on to say Katrina Kapoor. And this is like, okay, like this is, imagine, like this is like, one of your JW Marriott or 5-star hotels
Was it
type
like a
ki
live
matlab,
thing or?
no. Thank
God.
freaking God.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it was like one of those pre-recorded like interviews where you go and you do one, what we like to call tic tac. Tic tac is when you're holding the boom, the mic, and it's going tick tac, tick tac. That's why it's called a tic tac interview.
Correct.
Such shit explanations journalists have for these shitty things. Anyway, so what does Priyanka do? Priyanka found it so funny, and there are like 20 other journalists waiting to interview her. There is her team, there is my team, there are some random people who are organizers in that room. She laughed so hard, she first can't stop laughing. Then she goes running around the room laughing because she just couldn't get. She's like, "I can't believe you not just called me Katrina, you called me Katrina Kapoor. Like, you have predicted shit way before, and clearly my prediction was wrong. Kuch hua to nahi wahan pe."
Yeah.
So yeah, so it has happened. It has.
What is the like? So I understand like these like sort of things happen when you're like interviewing somebody because you're a human, they're a human being. So like it happens. So what is the best part about like these things? What is the best part about and worst part about interviewing celebrities aside from like these kind of?
Okay. The worst part about in interviewing a celebrity, and I think that has changed a great deal now, is that you have to wait for them. Okay, because this is something that used to really bug the hell out of me. And I promised myself when I was a junior reporter that if I ever got to a position of where I'm the entertainment editor and taking care of a team, that I would not put my team through it. Which is that I would feel like a lot of senior actors or even junior actors would just randomly be okay with making the media and journalists wait for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I don't want to name the superstar, but there's this one superstar who became so famous among the journalism circle because literally if he and his team called you for an interview at 2 in the afternoon, it was like no surprises if you were still at his office till 2 a.m. at night.
Oh Lord. Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous, right? Because it's like your entire day, all your plans, all your, whether it's editing schedule at work, whether it's reporting plan, whether it's plans you've made post work with your family or your friends, all of that would go for a toss because some actor has decided to turn up 3 or 4 hours late.
Also, it's disrespectful, also, right? I mean, you're also
very disrespectful.
Yeah, your
it's
time.
very disrespectful.
Yeah, exactly. They're clearly not respecting the fact that you also have a schedule, right? So it's just
Correct. So here are a few things I changed when I became entertainment editor at Times Now. So
yeah,
I put a rule in place for me and my team, which eventually became a rule that sort of became really popular in entertainment circles,
right,
that the Times Now team will not wait beyond an hour. Whether it's a press conference, whether it's a personal interview, whether it's a group interview, any form of interview, if we have been called to a location,
yeah,
we will give you, sort of like grace marks of like 1 hour.
right, right,
एक घंटे में कर लिया तो कर लिया नहीं तो भैया what we would call is I told my reporters, I'm like, you will loudly announce that
yeah,
you and your team are packing up and leaving. The thing is that honestly, I'll tell you a really embarrassing moment was, when a particular actor, Saif Ali Khan, I don't mind saying it now because I believe, like, I love Saif, by the way. He's one of the greatest dudes to interview ever. But used to come late. And there was this very awkward moment where he had kept my team waiting for 3 hours. And so we packed up. I said, like, listen, forget it. It's not worth it. Pack up. And just as they were leaving the studio where he was supposed to shoot with them, Saif enters.
okay.
And he sees that there is this media team that's super pissed off.
Yeah,
So then he very sweetly got the reporter to call me and apologize, because he's quite a gentleman that way. And he was like, listen, I'm really sorry. I didn't know you guys were waiting and there was some miscommunication. And I was like, listen, I don't hold this personally against you.
yeah,
But here's the thing, right? If my reporter had kept you waiting for 3 hours, would you have waited?
right.
If the answer to that question is yes, I'll tell her to stay back and do the interview. Otherwise, let it go this one time. And we actually still left and did not do the interview.
So yeah, what about the best parts? I mean, what about the good parts basically? I mean, the waiting, the kind of like getting just 5 minutes to get in all your questions, and then like also having them censored is like the kind of like the worst part about these like this stuff. What about the good part? What do you like about good?
The good parts, I think, is that within entertainment circles, at least, if you're good at your job and people start, like your company or even other sort of organizations start realizing that you're good at this interviewing, creating specials, creating content sort of space, is the travel. I won't lie to you. I just joined Times Now. During Aaj Tak also, I got a fair bit of travel. I got to do a lot of great on locations and interesting shoots.
Right.
But with Times Now, I'll never forget, because in my first month at Times Now, there was a junket to go interview Tom Cruise and Bryan Singer in South Korea for Valkyrie. Valkyrie, which is a film that I think it took me 3 viewings to finally finish. Honestly, that film is boring. Now, but I watched it recently. Not recently. I watched it, I think, 2-3 years ago again. It
Right.
wasn't as boring this time. But I think the first time I watched it, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me. They sent me a screener, because you can't interview Tom Cruise and Bryan Singer without having freaking watched the film, right?
Right.
I must have watched 20% at home, 30% on the flight, and the remaining 20 or 30% when I was actually at the hotel few hours before I had to interview these guys. Anyway, but I'm saying that travel was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I got to travel to South Korea. I got to travel to Brazil for Khatron Ke Khiladi with Priyanka Chopra. I got to travel to 5 different IFAs, which is, I think, Macau, Dubai, Canada. So the travel was really good. I think these were the perks, okay? Like, we worked like assholes, but I mean, it's like we worked our asses off.
Yeah.
Because junket also means like longer hours of like shooting, sitting in your hotel room and sending FTP footage and all of that. But you got to see cool places.
So has it happened to you that you're interviewing somebody and you don't know, aside from the Tom Cruise experience, that you don't know what like you're interviewing? Suppose maybe it's for a book or maybe it's for a movie that you haven't read or that you're not at all like aware of, and then you have to interview that person, like kind of saying that you have, or like you.
The thing is that, very early on during my internship, I had this one incident that happened which scarred me for life in a really good way. I'll tell you. I was interning with Aaj Tak and eventually also went on to work with them, but I was interning with them when I was also in college at Xavier's. But I think one of the early stories that I was doing is that, do you remember when India TV launched?
Yeah.
And they did a bunch of sting operations on Shakti Kapoor. What was that actor's name? Amar what?
Aman
Kyunki
Aman Verma.
Aman?
Aman Verma.
Aman Verma.
Okay.
So I went and pitched to the entertainment editor. I said, listen, the India Today operations, sting operations have India TV operations have sort of exposed these guys as lechers and creeps.
Right.
But ironically, they seem to be getting more B grade movies than ever before, which
Oh.
means they're making more money than ever before
Yeah.
because of being exposed as a creep.
What?
So he loved the story. He's like, "Jao, karo ek feature story. If it's good, we'll even take it for news." And as an intern, you're like, "Oh my god, that is amazing! Imagine if my story goes on a freaking bulletin."
Right.
So the Shakti Kapoor interview was whatever, but the Aman Verma interview, he called me to some film city set of his where he was shooting some TV serial or whatever,
Yeah.
and he was very cocky with me. Okay, he was very cocky, and I asked him the questions, and then he turned around and the ulta sawal पूछते हैं ना,
Yeah.
and I blanked.
Right.
Like he asked me something along the lines of, "Have you watched my previous work to know that I've not done this kind of work before? What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And I blanked, okay? And he caught on to it. And it was, I think, a mortifying moment for I must have been 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed because as a senior camera person who had come with me,
Hmm.
there was a producer who had accompanied me,
Right.
and they were obviously watching me. And this guy had just turned the tables on me, and I had nothing to say.
Oh, what a jerk.
So yeah, he was a jerk. I mean, now in hindsight, I look at, but he also it taught me something really important: is that never ever go into an interview, even the most tucha interview in the world, without preparing. Because oh my god, it is one of my fears that I will one day be on a really big interview and something like this will happen and I won't have anything to say. So since then, I'm like, मैं पढ़ाई करता हूँ.
I had the worst experience one time. So I was working with a magazine and I was supposed to interview Christina Ricci. Christina Ricci, yeah. I think she had a
Yeah.
show with Amazon Prime called Z, The Beginning of Everything or something like that. And so my editor, like on the day, I think she was supposed to do the interview and it was supposed to be a overseas call, and she was supposed to do the interview, but then she couldn't for some reason. So she asked me, can I like just pitch in and stuff? I was like, yeah, cool, I do it. I like her. So I was like, okay. And then I didn't know what the show was about, right? So I saw the title and the call was supposed to happen like within an hour or something. And like an idiot, instead of using that time to research, I just assumed for like some reason that it's a show about zombies. Because it's like Z, the story, the beginning of everything. I'm like, yes, like a zombie origin story. I'll ask her, and had all these like questions in my head about like zombies and stuff. Idiot, complete idiot, and totally on me. So like we get on a call, and then like I was just like, I'll just like whatever, I'll have the stuff open in front of me. And then I saw, and it was a completely different show. Like it was about Zelda Fitzgerald, and it was all like 1920s aesthetic. And it's like, shit. And then like I thankfully, like, because it was an overseas call, so there was some like errors, like in kind of connecting and stuff. So I had some time to kind of back up and like and thankfully she was a very like talkative person, so she only like kept talking, and I had to just like like, why did, and then after that I was just like, this is like it was complete, it was a very very embarrassing moment for me. Thankfully, she didn't
But these last minute things are damn tricky. So I'll tell you another story, right? I was again, I'm early days at Aaj Tak, and 2007, Savaria had been announced,
right.
and Ranveer and Sonam were just starting to do their first round of media interviews.
Right.
Okay, and my editor at that time was a Manish Dubey. Manish Dubey used to be this really senior entertainment Hindi journalist who would do all the big interviews.
Right.
And he and Rajiv Masand, CNN, IBN, or I don't know what channel Rajiv was at that time. They were the two big guys who had been picked to do the first Hindi and English interviews with Ranveer and Sonam.
Right.
It was a Sunday.
Okay.
And Sundays, very few reporters would work, right? Mumbai Bureau is not the main bureau for Aaj Tak and Headlines Today.
Right.
Now India Today. So the Mumbai Bureau would have like maybe 3-4 people who only absolutely had to come in to finish some stuff. So Manish was supposed to go from his home directly to interview Ranveer and Sonam.
Right.
Unfortunately, he woke up that morning and he realized he has a slip disc. Something went wrong. And I was already in the office. So I get a panic call 1 hour before the interview or 2 hours before the interview saying, Janice, there's no time and my back is gone. You have to step in. There's no other reporter available today. And I chat bricks because in my head, I'm like, I don't know Ranbir Kapoor. I don't know Sonam Kapoor, but it is such a big film. And the only other reporter interviewing them that day was Rajiv Masan. Matlab, this is a big interview, a 5-camera interview and all that.
Right.
I was like, sir, can I please go home and change my clothes? Because it's a Sunday. I was wearing strapless ganji, flared jeans, hair like one mad person.
Yeah.
I just got, it's like one of those, off days at work, you're just going in whatever you are. And he's like, no, you have to go straight to Ranveer Kapoor's house in Bandra.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I must have been like, I went to that, like I went early because I was like, let me at least go early and try and chat up Ranveer and Sonam and the PR and the manager so I get some sense of confidence because I was shitting bricks about this interview. Because Manish, I've been preparing for many days.
Yeah.
Like about what questions he would ask, which films of Rishi Kapoor, which films of Anil Kapoor to quiz them about. And I had done nothing. Thankfully for me, it turned out to be a very chill interview because there was no one at the home other than Ranveer's PR manager and Sonam's PR manager, and they were both over-friendly. And Sonam and Ranveer themselves turned out to be super over-friendly, maybe because they were nervous as well. Learning lesson there for me that, it's not always just us who are nervous. Sometimes the actors are nervous as well.
Yeah. They just like...
Because that's actually where Sonam and I sort of became friends for the first time. Like, she was so nervous about not knowing what to wear for the interview. I remember she took me by the hand because we're the same age. Right. And we immediately realized that we know a lot of people in common. So she took me by the hand to Ranveer's bedroom where there are 5 outfits kept out. And she's like, what should I wear? So before the interview itself, there was a lot of icebreaker moments that happened. Ranveer was sitting in the bathroom and shaving.
Yeah.
It was really chill. But I'm saying it was like one of those experiences where I was like, what am I going to do? But turned out to be really fun.
Yeah. So what was your first celebrity encounter? Was it like professional, this thing only, or like what?
First celebrity encounter was actually Mohammad Azharuddin.
Okay.
My brother is a huge cricket lover. He used to be a complete cricket buff. Growing up, it used to be a major pain because we would constantly be fighting about the remote because if there was a cricket match and that to 50 over cricket match going on, matlab pura din gaya. So Azharuddin was staying at one of the Mumbai 5-star hotels. Quote unquote, this is controversial because at that time there were whispers about him dating Sangeeta Bijlani.
Okay.
But no one knew for sure, and there was a lot of writing going on in the media about how he had left his beautiful wife and his children for this actress and all of that stuff. Right. My mother happened to know someone who happened to know Azharuddin's then manager, someone really well. So she took my brother and me to meet Azharuddin, and the funniest thing was that Azhar and his manager took us up to Azhar's manager called us up to the room. He said, we can't come down to the lobby because too many people will mob him and stuff. And my brother had carried a bat and a ball and everything. So Azharuddin opens the door and he's got a full mustache.
Yeah.
Okay, so he tells us to sit in his room, there's a living area in the room. And he says, just give me 2 minutes. He goes, he comes out 15 minutes later, his mustache is gone. And we were like, we just witnessed an Azharuddin makeover. So I think that was my first celebrity encounter.
That's actually a good encounter you had. I remember the celebrity kind of encounter. I saw somebody from what was that show? Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. At a McDonald's, him and his wife. I don't know what. I just remember him vaguely from Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. He was this really pale dude with longish hair, and him and his wife.
Really pale dude with longish hair. If you know who she's talking about, please put it in the comments because I have no fucking clue.
I distinctly remember that. I just remember him from Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, and I was shook. Do you think over the years, because of social media is so all of every celebrity is on social media, multiple social medias actually. So do you think the role of the journalist, kind of entertainment journalist, is kind of different now? Because up now everything is open. If say Sonam Kapoor is into cooking, so we know it right from our social media. I mean, we don't people are telling us, right? I mean, what do you think? How do you think it has changed, from the past 10 years also, the decade?
I'll be honest. Okay, I feel social media has completely, to a large extent, killed the need for people to have PRs. Right. Okay, public relations managers. The PR people now have to think 20 times harder about how to represent their actors. Because if you're just going to tell me what I can see on Instagram or on 20 other interviews that she's doing,
Right.
not good enough,
Yeah.
right? Secondly, journalists now have to be 20 times more careful because otherwise you are just doing the job of the PR.
Right.
If you are only going to sit there and ask Sonam Kapoor, oh, we saw a video of you cooking,
Yeah.
or you ask XYZ that, oh, we saw that you've written this beautiful post to your boyfriend or
Right.
to your girlfriend or to your husband or your wife.
Right.
Then essentially what you're giving them is a PR platform. That's not really anything anyone's interested in, right?
Yeah. What's your most embarrassing moment as a journalist, like while interviewing?
So this has become like my party trick story. Everyone has that one story that they tell at parties now, which earlier I used to not tell because I was so mortified. But like I like sharing the story now because if I can do this, it should give a lot of other young journalists out there hope कि मतलब कुछ भी हो सकता है.
Everything will be all right. Yeah.
So I basically was sent. I was the only journalist from India to be sent for a junket to Los Angeles for The Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
Okay. This is like Nolan's trilogy is coming to an end. Biggest film in the world. Janice Sequeira has been sent by Warner Brothers representing Times Now to Los Angeles. I reached Los Angeles airport at like some 5 or 7 in the morning, and interviews were going to start at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay. Now, context is that before I left for the interview, Warner had sent out a press release and created a fair bit of noise that we're sending a journalist for this interview and everything.
Right.
So Nolan's fan groups had gotten in touch with me and said, ma'am, can you please carry some stuff to give to Nolan?
Okay.
And I was like, dude, they're not going to allow anything. You give me a tiny package, I'll try and squeeze it through.
Yeah.
So these poor fans came to the airport and they basically had made a fan T-shirt of the Batman symbol, and all of the members of the fan group, their names were inside the Batman symbol.
Okay,
this T-shirt that they had packed and all that. Now what happened is, unfortunately, I had to unpack my bag or something at the airport, like because of weight issues.
Right.
So I don't know, something. I had to open up my bag, so I had taken out the plastic covering and put it into my normal clothes section.
Right.
Cut to, I reach Los Angeles and I get red flagged at the airport. Okay. It's a long story, okay? So, but I promise it's worth it.
We have time, yeah.
So I get red flagged at the airport, and I don't know if anyone's ever gotten stopped at a US airport, but they're very rude. So it's like 7 in the morning, and they're like, ma'am, please step behind the line and wait there. And what happened? Other people are going, and they're like, just you wait at immigration.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, with this guy not telling me anything, a police officer comes inside the airport, like comes to where I am. He says, please follow me. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Why am I being stopped? They take me to the end of Los Angeles airport where there is a little counter where I only see other immigrants like myself. So I see people from Mexico. I see people from like other Southeast Asian countries. Many people who can't speak English, and they ask me to sit there.
Right.
And my passport is taken.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out that after about an hour or two of making me wait, I finally get called in, and they tell me it's a big mistake. And then when I showed them the Warner Brothers letter and everything, they were like over the moon. They're like, oh my God, you're going to be interviewing Christopher Nolan. Oh my God, Anne Hathaway. Oh my God, this. And they're like, we're so sorry for the misunderstanding. But basically, you should not have gotten a 10-year entry exit inside the US. You should have only gotten a 1-year business visa.
Right.
I was like, मैंने थोड़ी ना किया है, Warner Brothers को बोलो. Anyway, so I was supposed to reach the LA airport by around like 8 in the morning. By now it's already some 11 o'clock and I'm running late.
Okay.
I finally come back to the airport. I call my boyfriend. Anirudh was my boyfriend at the time. I call my mother. I cry on the phone for an hour, and then I start to get ready, right? Because we had a briefing at 1 o'clock. Now, last minute, I have taken that T-shirt and gone. Yeah. And interviews, like if you're ever in a junket setup, they're like, next. They make you go from different room to different room. I finally reach Christopher Nolan's room, I think he was my last or second last interview for the day.
Right.
And with great difficulty, I'm like, talking to his manager, and I'm like, the Indian fans have sent this. It's only a simple T-shirt. If Mr. Nolan is up to it, just ask him to sign and send and let us know and blah blah blah. And I give my contact details, my email ID, and everything. And I leave that T-shirt, that black T-shirt, with the manager. Finish my interview with Christopher Nolan,
Right.
and I come back to my room. Now my friend Rasha Goyal was taking me out for dinner at night.
Right.
And she's like reached below the hotel, and she's like, come. And I'm like, yeah, I need 10 minutes to get changed. I'm looking in my suitcase for my black tights.
Okay.
I'm like, where the fuck are my black woolen tights? It's fucking cold in LA at this time. Okay, it must have been 2 or 3 degrees. So I have carried woolen tights from India.
Right.
I cannot find my black tights. And suddenly I'm like, what is this black thing? Out comes the fan T-shirt.
Oh my God.
I gifted one of the world's biggest filmmakers my pair of used woolen tights.
The real question is, did he sign it?
They must have, like, the manager must have opened up that bag and gone like, Indian fans are really kinky.
Yeah.
They never got in touch with us. And I was so mortified. I was like, after I came back to India also, I was like, I'm going to get a call from Warner Brothers India saying, what the fuck is wrong with you, Janice? Why did you give Christopher Nolan black tights? But strangely, nothing ever happened.
This is like it's a good story.
And a great one.
It's actually a great story.
Yeah. So there, if I can go and give Christopher Nolan a pair of woolen tights after traveling all the way from India and getting stopped at the airport, buddy, whatever fuck ups you've done in life, not as embarrassing.
Like what do you think about the celebrity content that's coming out of the lockdown, like the workout videos and the kind of baking stuff and stuff? Do you think like they're also kind of like scrambling to kind of I don't want to say like it's staying relevant is a bit like too much, but kind of like to kind of stay in because there's literally nothing.
No, but it's exactly what you said. Everyone's just trying to stay relevant because this is such a strange time in our lives. We don't know when will this end definitively.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the future looks like. Like, what is the new normal going to be like? Actors and all kinds of technicians don't know when they're going to go back to being on set, shooting, traveling, getting into character, or doing whatever their jobs are, right? So I think everyone is trying within their own capacity to stay relevant. So, for example, I know that writers and creators and directors are busier than ever before because they are right now using this time to, create new shows, make new films, write out new ideas, develop new projects. Similarly, but that is their job, right? To stay behind the scenes and do that. Similarly, actors, part of their job is staying relevant in the public eye. So whatever they're doing, it's all sort of, leading up to that. The ones who
I enjoy watching like these workout videos. I think Katrina Kaif, when she was doing those videos, I was just like, good. Like, do it. You do it. so that I don't have to do it. And even like the cooking and stuff also.
That's not how it works, but okay.
I know. I mean, I have to like tell myself something like so that I can sleep peacefully at night. Just like,
no, I'm just saying that, all of this content, like I know that Farah Khan had an entire rant saying that, there are much bigger problems in the world. Fair, of course. Everyone knows that. I don't think anyone needed Farah Khan to tell us that. We know that.
Yeah.
We understand what the current social political climate is.
Yeah.
So my point is that the struggle is different at every level. You don't know what a person's mental struggle might be because of which they are trying to stay relevant at this time.
Yeah. Maybe this gives them joy or something, right? I mean, I completely understand. I mean, and I agree with your thing that it's not, nobody has a gun to your head, right? Don't watch the content. That's why this is the same attitude that I have for like hate on like, anybody's content or like anybody's like, kind of thing.
No, babe, so many people, like friends, have sly messaged me and said, "Yaar, why are you going live every day?"
Yeah.
Because I was doing a live show every day at 5 o'clock from Monday to Friday.
Right.
Right? And I was like, because that's how I want to stay busy,
Yeah.
right? It gives me a schedule. It gives me something to work towards every day. And you know what? If you don't want to watch it, mute me,
Yeah,
unfollow,
exactly.
block,
Yeah, yeah. I
whatever,
think
whatever you do, you, as long as you let me do me.
we had a lot of fun while talking. I didn't even realize that so much time and stuff like this. Yeah, it was so much.
Yay! I had a lot of fun too because I knew that I've been following your content for so long now. I was like, जो भी करेगी मतलब time pass मजे ही आएंगे. So I was like 100. That's why I only said, listen, you want to do this? What? Let's do it. I want to.
Yeah. They had so much
So
fun.
more power to you. Please continue doing whatever it is that you're doing. And thank you for having me on your show.
Now we have to awkwardly say bye to each other as awkwardly as we can. Bye. Bye.